Good morning. Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of the Monday Motivation. And I just wanted to wish you lots of lovely, juicy, great vibes for your week. So how did these Monday motivations start? Back in 2008 when I was still an employee and working hard. Hi Ian, good morning. I remember that there used to be this feeling of dread that used to, you'd notice it on the Friday afternoon. Everyone was looking forward to the weekend, and then the next few days you'd go off and have your weekend, and it was like everybody arrived to the office on a Monday morning with this sinking feeling. Good morning, Jenny, says Ian. Hello. I'm standing a bit further away from the camera, which means you can actually see my microphone, and I have to keep kind of lurching forward to you, but I hope you don't mind. So I started this habit in 2008 where it just felt like, 50% of people were pleased to be there. The other 50% were like, oh, it's Monday, and Monday got a bad rap. And I didn't like that Monday got a bad rap, so I wanted to do something, just one small thing that would make a difference. So I started off by sending around a little motivational quote or something like that, just something that people could read and would lift their day, hopefully their morning, hopefully their day, and even better their week. So when I became self-employed myself in 2010, I wanted to continue that tradition. So after quite a few years now, I decided to bring it up to speed and up to date and bring it to life by sharing it with you on a Facebook Live. And the reason that I've done that is that for some of you, you too have an early start on a Monday and you want to get raring to go. And for others, especially if you're watching this from the US or anywhere else in the world on a different time zone, and Australia, I'm sorry, I know it's Tuesday, or at least later on Monday evening anyway. So I just wanted to be able to find a way to help motivate your day, motivate your week, motivate your month. So if you're watching this live, do hop on and say hi, like Ian did. And if you want to kind of be in the background, I can't see you, I don't know who you are, but if you say good morning or hi or hello, even if it's on the recording, I will get notified. So this week I've called the Monday Motivation Complaint Kryptonite. Now, what does that even mean? Why am I even covering that subject? Well, one of the first things that I wanted to highlight was recently I ran another round of the Monday makeover, the mindset makeover. The way to get you to help you to sort of think differently about your life. This is not about me doing something to you, but you thinking differently of certain areas of your life. And actually, the mindset makeover is actually really great if applied to a very specific thing. So for those of you that have already been through it, you can have a specific, either an issue, it doesn't have to be an issue or a problem, it could be something that you're wanting to achieve, and you can reapply it for that again. So one of the things that, as I always do when I write these online courses and various things that I offer out there in the world, I always put myself through it first and continue to go through it. I want to see if it needs tweaking, changing, improving, stretching, growing, shrinking, condensing or anything else like that. So as I went through what felt like the gazillionth round of the mindset makeover myself, and I worked in a very specific area, I noticed something, and it was really bizarre, strange but true. And I have to say, not something that I haven't noticed before, but something that I thought could make if it makes a difference to me, it could make a difference to you. So that's why I'm sharing Complaining Kryptonite, and it goes a little something like this. You start your day, either something, someone, somebody really hacks you off. And they touch a nerve, maybe they press a button. And one of the first things that we can think to do is to talk about it and to recount what's happened. Now, what sometimes happens, and I see a couple of you have joined, so a couple more of you have joined, so good morning. I can't get my words out this morning. It could be because I was hoping that the natural light would come up just before we got started. Didn't quite make it. France Lee says, good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Ian. It's like being at school. Morning, miss. Although that's not my intention. So, yeah, one of the things that I not only observed in myself, because this is not about me making the world wrong, but something I observed in myself and in other people. Hi, Ivona, she says, morning all. One of the things I observed was that sometimes we hit across somebody, something, or somebody, you know, some place or some scenario that really hacks us off. And one of the first things that is normal for us to do, especially in our culture, is to vent. And that venting can quickly turn to complaining. Now, here's why I call complaining kryptonite. When we have an issue with somebody or something, the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to find a solution to it. And the best way that we can find the solution to it is to voice our opinion. So if you've had bad service or somebody's done something that's not great, I'm not saying shut up and put up. I'm saying let's direct that to the organisation that needs to hear it, the person that needs to hear it. Let's look for a solution. Let's get solution focused. The problem with complaining is it very rarely does that, and this is why it becomes your kryptonite. So the first thing is, when you have an issue or a concern and you voice it to somebody else or something else or a different organisation, it renders you powerless, hence a reference to kryptonite. So let's give you a kind of real life example. Let's say that, I'm trying to think of one from my life. I've probably got 101, but let's say that, I don't know, let's say that somebody posts something on Facebook that we really, really don't like. Now, we have a choice to get to a solution on that. The first thing, which isn't kind of part of the no complaining room, but something that I generally ask myself is, what's this really about? So if somebody posts something and it gets my heckles up, I'll ask myself, first of all, Jenny, what's this really about? Is it about something that I wish I'd said and wish I'd been brave enough to say? Is it about something that I really disagree with? It doesn't fit with my values? Or is it that I think it's maybe something that shouldn't be shared? And when I say shouldn't be shared, it might be that it's kind of vulgar or crass or something else like that. Or is it something that I think, according to my rules in my head, should be done in a certain way? And a lot of us bump up against that too. You know, we walk round the world, around our life with our set of rules in our head, which might not match somebody else's rules. Which means that if somebody breaks our own rules, we feel upset. So that's the first thing I ask. The question is, what's this really about? So now I've established what it's really about, I can then get some clarity on what I want to do with it. Hence my solution. I'm looking for a focused solution. So now that I know that I want a solution to this thing, I want some focus to this thing, I can do something about it. Does this make any sense to you at all? Have you ever kind of just gone off and just kind of gone on a rant? You don't have to say what it is on here. If you have, put yes so that I know that it's not just me. And if you haven't, say no, Jenny. I've never ever had to rant. So Ian is saying good morning to France, Lise and Ivona. So here's the next kind of step, the next piece in what to do when you find yourself with a complaint or something that you don't like. You look at what the solution is. You look at what would be the best solution, and having asked yourself, what's this really about? If it's about that it doesn't fit the rules that are in your box, that is unfortunately a way of the world. It could be that you need to leave that person to have their set of rules and what they feel is acceptable, and you kind of walk away with your own set of rules. So with that, what usually happens when we use our complaint kryptonite is, and Ivona says yes, so I know I'm not alone. Just you and I then, Ivona, that get things that raise our heckles. So, and by the way, when I do these Monday motivations and these Facebook lives and things, the Facebook live to me is a step up from video. With video, I would just record it, say my piece, put it out there. But with a Facebook live, especially when you guys have taken the time and energy and trouble to jump on, I want to be able to interact with you and have a two-way dialogue. This is the best that you can get as like Jenny in your pocket for a few minutes on a Monday morning. So the reason I ask these questions isn't to name shame you or anything else like that. It's just to make sure that what I'm saying is landing well, and if it isn't, I explain more, and if it is, then I can move on. That's it, really. So Ian also says, yes, who hasn't ranted at something? And France Leaves is her normal smiley self and laughing. So yeah, so the next thing we do is we look at the solution. We look at what it is we want. So if something has made us rant and we need to say something, here's what we normally do as a species. We'll look at the poor, unsuspecting person that's either next to us, the next person that walks into our office, the next person that phones us up, the poor person that's sitting next to us on the tube or at the bus stop, the person behind the kiosk in the shop, or someone else sitting behind their desk, and we'll just splurge all of the reasons why we think that was wrong, that shouldn't have happened, I hated that. And it's quite amusing in some respects, although I don't personally think he's an amusing person, is this whole kind of Clinton-Trump thing that's going on in America, just in case you might have heard of it. But Trump is saying some spectacularly shocking things, and as much as we're sharing our opinion on things like Facebook and LinkedIn, as much as we're speaking about it in conversation, the best and most powerful way to bring a closure or a solution to what we feel is to speak to Trump himself. Now, as a public figure, that might not be possible, but there will be avenues at which we can speak to him. I know that people have obviously and quite understandably been upset by some of the things that he's talked about. Hi, Wendy. And I get that. The best thing they can do is voice, rather than chewing someone's ear off in the office next to them, or putting these rants out on social media. The best thing that a person can do is to go direct to the source. So with somebody like him and someone who's a public figure, rather than trying to speak to him personally, which might be nigh on impossible, especially given some of the comments he's made in recent weeks, days, years and everything else, what about writing an open letter? Not an accusatory letter, not a ranty letter, but some sort of open letter where you address him person to person, eye to eye. And this is much the same for the reason why we end up complaining. And I'm just reading, it's a morning laugh. Having a rant in my head, I want the kids to wake up now, not in an hour. Okay, France Lees, that is something that is in our rule box. Now, on the surface, that might seem like, no, you have children, they get up, they do this, they do that, they have to do it this way. Your kids have got their own rule box as well. Sometimes we have to bring the rule boxes together and say, okay, kids, these are my expectations. And they say, Mum, these are my expectations. And you see it in a big standoff, especially when they are little, when they're 2 and 3. I love it when kids are really like, this is not going to happen. There's a very famous YouTube viral video where Kevin wants the cupcake. It reminds me of that. But anyway, I digress. So usually what happens in a normal sort of complaint situation, we don't like something, we want to change it, we actually are seeking a solution. And what we are inadvertently doing sometimes is validating that our way is the right way. So we'll complain, we might moan, we might groan, we might speak to somebody else about it. And all that serves to do is to start a ripple effect, a bubbling ripple effect. If you don't believe me, if you've ever sat in a traffic jam and even been late because you've been sat in a traffic jam, the minute you get to your destination, all it takes is for you to say, oh my gosh, the traffic was horrendous this morning. This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. and you will easily get a story or 2 or 3 stories from each person around you of when a similar thing happened. The problem is, if we complain to them, we're not actually getting a solution. What we're doing is venting and getting it off our chest, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what we are actually doing is complaining to a person that cannot make a difference. So here's how to do it and why to do it. So whenever you find yourself in a predicament where you want to make a complaint, first question is ask yourself, what's this really about? And you can even ask yourself, so what am I going to do about it? And once you've got clear as to what you're going to do about it, if there is a way that you can either get a solution or look towards getting a solution, the very first person or place to speak to is the person, the organisation or the thing that has caused you this angst. So I've just seen quite a few comments come through, so I'm just going to read them. Wendy says, morning Miss Motivator, can I see you in a yellow lycra or headband next week? If you send one to me, Wendy, I will oblige. I unfortunately don't have a yellow headband. Sorry. I can make one for you. Let me think about what motivational stuff I can make for you. Okay, so Francie says, stop giving that man so much interest. That's what he wants. Let him talk to the wind. Unfortunately, Francis, he's not. He's actually saying these things on camera. So I agree, we give him a lot of energy. And Francis is a perfect example. How many people do you know have made a post about him? I'm not saying that they're right or wrong, by all means, because we all need freedom of speech, freedom of expression, which actually includes him. You know, let's use some empathy here for this person. This is someone's son. This is someone's father, someone's husband. And as much as he might irritate us, he believes what he says, he believes to be true, he believes to be right. And thank you for those love hearts, whoever sent them. He believes that what he's saying is important enough to share, and that's what he's doing in his own box, his own set of rules. He feels that it's okay. So that's all I can really say. Wendy says, that's it, I'm on a mission. Oh, so next week you could see me in a motivational style, 80s style headband, which I know most of you won't remember because you're far too young, but that's okay. That's the thing, we can't sticky tape his mouth. So this is interesting. So I have demonstrated what happens. I use the traffic jam as an example, but also talking about our lovely sort of electoral debate that's going on in the US. This is what happens. People will connect with the part that really irritates them. Oh, thank you for all those love hearts. They will connect with the piece that they don't like, and it keeps them in that place. So, France Lees, here's a challenge for you, and anyone else who might be watching this. If you could write him a heartfelt letter to get him to stop, what would you say? Now, this needs to be like a letter that that speaks to him, not kind of demonises him or calls him names, but a letter that speaks to him. If you could write him a letter, and your letter will make all the difference and help him to see things in another way, which unfortunately he believes his way is the right way, what would you write? Now, this goes the same for any situation in your life. It could be a person that's pushing your buttons, somebody you want to complain about. It could be an organisation. Let's take our famous rail service, which for most of the time, you know, plays the game and gets us from A to B when we need to, and every now and then has some spectacular cancellations or delays. Now, in a scenario like that, most people would go and make a complaint. But the first thing they'll do is they'll stay in their anger, go up to the poor unsuspecting person at the desk who actually wasn't their responsibility or their fault, and shout at them. How do you think it feels to be on the receiving end of that rant, of that shout? So what I tend to do, and I'm successful about 80% of the time, but not 100%, I'm not perfect, is I wait until I can have a level of communication that has what I call no barbs in it. There's no kind of prickly bit sticking out. If I know that by going to the desk to complain about my train that I'm likely to start shouting at the person behind the desk, I pause, I don't do it. I ask myself, like, you know, what's this really about and what can I do about it? I'd rather spend my time and energy solution focused, so maybe speaking to the person whose meeting I might be late for because of my cancelled train, sorting everything out with them first, and then maybe the most helpful thing that I can do is go to the counter and say, my train has been cancelled, I'm late for my meeting, what can I do about it? What's the procedure? And hearing what I can do next. And then from that information, go into the solution. And what can I do about it? You know, depending on where I'm going, I might be up in Edinburgh and having had a cancelled or delayed train, miss a meeting in London, I might need to then say, well, okay, so I need to get a refund, or I need to get there, or something. So it helps us to move towards the solution. When we stay in the place of being angry, you know, there's that very well-known saying, it's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It keeps us in this powerless circle, this powerless place where we are kind of stuck. We feel icky, we feel horrible, we can't move on. And much better that we can move forward, backwards or sideways than feeling stuck, frustrated, angry. So I don't know if you've got any questions. I can see a lot of comments. I'm just going to go back and read the comments. Hey, it's Chloe. Long time no see, lovely. So let me go back. Sorry, my camera's just shaking as I do that. Ivona says, you also have to make the decision whether you want to act on that thing or not. Exactly, Ivona. And a little while back, I was saying exactly that. When you ask, what is this really about? And if someone's ranting is just a rant, you have a choice to say, you know what? I'm not going to give my energy to that particular thing, that particular scenario, or that particular person. So on this occasion, I'm not going to do anything. There's a model called OK Corral, and it's based on the principles of you're okay, I'm okay. So when that person, it could be Mr. Trump, says something loud and vicious, you might not have heard it, but you might hear it secondhand through a social media stream. As you didn't hear it originally, you need to ask yourself, what is this really about? Maybe it's around sexism, racism, or something else. Explore where you sit with those issues. But you're okay. Actually, they're okay. What they're saying might not be okay, but they're okay. And check in with yourself to make sure you're okay. And if you're not okay, then ask yourself, well, what do I need? So, and if you've got any questions about anything that I'm saying or any scenarios that you want some help with, do let me know and I will be happy to share. If not, I shall wrap up. So, that was what Ivona says. Chloe says, hi, I love writing letters like this. Chloe, you would be like the perfect person to write him a letter, because I know that regardless of what he is saying, that you have a compassionate space in your heart where you're able to go to and write the letter, which could be the difference that makes a difference. So absolutely. And also, I'm not just talking about him, of course, all these sort of different people that we meet in life, whether it's a complaint to a company or something that's going on with a person, a family member. I once heard an expression that said, our family can sometimes push our buttons because they're the people that created them. So whether it's someone very close to us, someone in our circle of influence, or somebody, you know, maybe a peer. So I love that. France Lee says, Jenny, me, my big mouth, I can't do that. I'm going to smack his head in like any black mama would. That could be taken out of context, but I hear you, France Lees. One of my clients a few years ago said, they said something and I was in disagreement, let's just say, and one of my coaching clients, and they said that I gave them the black woman stare, which I didn't even know I had until that moment. So I hear you. Chloe says, blows a kiss, lovely. Julia's joined, and Chloe says, thank you, lovely to see you. So, anybody got any questions about the complaining kryptonite? If not, I will wrap up. But before I wrap up, here's something that I would like to prescribe you. I would like to prescribe you the pill of noticing. Because when I talked about the mindset makeover piece and the fact that I go through it a gazillion times, you know, on very specific subjects, I noticed something about myself that was quite ugly. Now, you know, I can talk about Trump or other people and I can project onto them what I feel is wrong with them. But usually when you're pointing your finger at somebody, you have at least 3 fingers pointing back at you. And the reason that when we project something onto someone else, it actually shows us the undercover uglies that we might not even know that we have ourselves. So when I was going through these exercises on the mindset makeover and looked at the complaining piece, what I realised is, you know, I help so many people to stand out. I help their visibility. I help them to be seen and to be heard, to remember, to be noticed. I help them to make a difference in the world. In fact, they make a difference in the world. I help to show them how they can stand out so that their difference can be seen and heard. And one of the things I noticed is, as part of my work, I'm always looking at ways which work for that people can stand out, whether it's a Facebook post, whether it's a talk that they give, you know, crafting their signature talk, making their bio, whether it's being seen on video or on something like Facebook Live or Periscope. And one of the things that I found was kind of underneath the dark and deep, murky depths of my mindset was that sometimes in order to do that, thankfully not all the time, but sometimes, even like invisible to me, I would start from a place of criticism. But that criticism that I thought was part of my job is actually a way of complaining. And even worse, I would phone a friend or I would be speaking to someone and I'd be like, complain, 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 bitch, bitch, moan. Now, had I taken a dose of my own medicine, I would say, what's this really about, Jenny? And understand what it's really about. You know, have I played a part to get into this situation or this thing that I don't like? Or then I would have gone into, well, what can I do about it? I'd have looked for a solution and I'd have done something. Now, if somebody is doing something in a way in which I don't like, it could just be my little box, my box of rules that I carry around. My box of rules says that if you don't do it my way, it's wrong. And that is not true. Okay? You will all have your box of rules. We've all got our individual box of rules. Even when we're brought up in the same family with the same parents and the same siblings, we will have our own individual box of rules. So if somebody isn't fitting your box of rules, that doesn't make them wrong and you right. And when we stay in that place, which I did, and I went and ranted and moaned and look at this person and they've done this, this and this, we're in that sticky, stuck place. When I looked at what I can do to make a difference, I could make a choice that I don't communicate in that way. I communicate in this way. So this is what I'm going to do. If this makes any sense at all, just give me a thumbs up or a love heart so that I make sure that this makes sense, because I really want to leave you with this message. So one of the things that I would like to do this week is to give you the pill of noticing. Notice when you're complaining to somebody. Notice when you're complaining about a scenario. So if the train was late, complaining to the neighbour down the road or the person sat next to you at the station is not going to bring you to a solution. It's going to keep you in this sticky, stuck place. Thank you for the thumbs up, I just saw them. If somebody has rattled your cage, complaining to everybody else is actually going to create more of that friction. It's not going to get you to a solution. In fact, you'll end up wasting an incredible amount of energy and time on that. And thank you for those love hearts again. So, for whatever reason, I can see that face. What, the stare? So, I don't know if you've got any questions, but thank you for joining me on this Monday morning. It's now light, so I could have had the windows open and the sun streaming in, and it looks like it's going to be a really lovely day. I see blue sky, no clouds. I hope, my wish for you is that you have a blue sky kind of day. So thank you so much for joining me. So thank you, Frances, Chloe, Julia, Ian, and any of you that are watching on the replay. come back, you know, revisit this this Facebook Live, share it with somebody who might need it. Don't force it on them, but share it with them. And if you're not already part of the Visibility Vibes Tribe community, look for the Visibility Vibes Tribe and I'll let you in, or go to facebook.com/be seen, be heard, get visible. And I'd love to welcome you to that lovely, juicy community. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Thank you for all the love hearts. Thank you to those of you that have been part of the Mindset Makeover, the 12-day video game, and part of that community. You make me do what I do and help me to love it, enjoy it, and want to get out to even more people. So until next week, bye for now.